Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Film Prize interview. I have with me today Patrick and Susan Curtin, directors of the film Credit. Thank you guys for being here on the show today.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
So, you guys, longtime Film Prize attendees, participants in various ways, but Credit is your first top 20 film. I would love to know a little bit about the film Credit and how you kind of came up with this story to be a part of Film Prize.
Well, first of all, we're honored to be in top 20 and be involved in this in the first place. But Richard Fulmer was a dear friend of ours. And I was having lunch with Richard one day.
You should say he's a well-known local theater actor. He's
Yes.
also has a prolific history in television and movies and that kind of thing. And so he was a local beloved actor.
That's right, 79 years old. We were having lunch one day and he was lamenting to me how he loved doing Film Prize films. He loves acting, but at that age, nobody asks him anymore. And it made him sad, and it made him question his relevance. And it just broke my heart. So I came home that night and Susan and I sat down and I told her about it. And we both just said, you know what, let's write a movie for Richard. And so that's how this whole thing started.
Mm-hmm. We were on the patio and talking about it and fielding ideas. And we kind of started getting emotional thinking about it. And I went to the office the next day, and for some cosmic reason, my calendar completely cleared and I had a lot of time on my hands. And I thought, I wanted to get some ideas down on paper. And I started out with one scene, just how I thought that scene should go. And then from that scene, I thought, well, then I think we could get into this from this direction and then go here. And before I knew it, I'd written it. And I came home, gave it to Patrick. He loved it.
Yeah.
He thought it was wonderful. And then the next day we asked our kids, Haley and Eric, who are also in the film, to come home and come over. And we all sat around in the living room and chit-chatted about it and you know, fielded ideas and talked about dialogue and motivation, and we all really got involved in it. It became this awesome family project.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you know, for those of you who don't know that are watching, many of you will. Richard then passed away in January of this year, and so unfortunately, he wasn't able to be a part of the project that was written for him. And so I wondered how, if you would mind sharing kind of how that process went in terms of coming to terms with, you know, obviously mourning Richard as a dear friend, but in the filmmaking process, how you were able to move past that.
Well, it was tough. In fact, I took it and gave it to Richard, and he was so excited. I mean, he could not be more excited. Came over, we had a cast read through, and he was just giving notes and busting my chops, and just like he always does. And a week and a half later, he was gone. And we really debated, should we even continue with this, because it was his movie. And there's really no replacing him. But we just started talking about it and gave it a few days. Let's say we don't want to think about it for a while. Let's get past the funeral. Let's get past all this, and we'll pick it up and start talking.
And we knew Richard would have wanted that. He would have wanted us to continue.
And so we did it in his honor. So
yeah, and that was the hard part, is finding somebody of that age range who could pull off being believable as a once great actor that had been award-winning and had worked with some of the greats, you know.
Yeah.
And it was not easy to find actors that were still working and that could do it. And so we reached out to Dawn Landrum, our agent, and she is the one who suggested Brad Mall. And she said, I don't know if he'll be interested, but I'll give him the script and see what he thinks.
Yeah, and she said, I don't know if he'll do a short film. He's pretty busy. Sent her the script. 30 minutes later, she writes back. She said, props to whoever wrote this, because he said, I have to do this. I would love to do it. So,
well, and you know, Brad has been sort of prize adjacent for a long time. You know, as you mentioned, you know, with the Landrum agency, he's been friends with a lot of people who have done Film Prize projects in the past, and he's just over in East Texas. But you know, Brad, as you said, is an accomplished actor in his own right, having worked on General Hospital, perhaps one of his more memorable roles.
Over 22 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if the Cosmos could have handed you another actor like Richard, but Brad certainly gets pretty close as it goes. So
I will tell you, he was so kind when we first met him, and he was asking us how would Richard have played this part, or what would you like for me to do? And we said, this is your movie now. And Richard would wanted you to have done your film. And it's, if we made it in honor of him, it comes from there in a place of our hearts. But the movie now stands on its own, and Brad is just wonderful in it.
Yeah.
He's so wonderful.
well, we've certainly talked a lot about this main character, but there is another leading role in this project, who is played by a family member of y'all's, and so I just would love if you guys were to share. So you have this aging actor who's struggling for relevance, but you have this other character. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who that is and who's playing them?
Well, we thought that, I mean, honestly, what you've got to show the juxtaposition between what Richard is going through and why it's painful. And what better way to show that than to show someone who is at the very precipice of his career, who has exploded and is about to experience the kind of fame he once had. So we thought kind of a Mr. Miyagi kind of feeling would be the way to go with it. And it is wonderful to, hey, I love my son, but I could even admit if he wasn't a good actor, but it is wonderful to see him do so well in this project. And I'm always blown away by the work that he can do. Because, as family members, we can be pretty critical of each other. We're hard on each other because, we know what we're capable of. But I'm so proud of him. He's doing a great job.
He plays this character. He's like a Justin Bieber type. He's a pop star who is just on top of the world, and he's overtaken the music industry, and he's been asked to act in a movie, and he's terrified.
And he's ill-equipped.
And he's ill-equipped.
He just doesn't know, and they're trying to help him out, but he just is not getting it. And another character, of course, played by Blaine Weaver, who is his Hollywood agent and his music agent, and he's he's got a trajectory. He wants Mason Scott to have a certain image. And part of that image means that, he can't really give a lot of credit away for the good things that come to him and for the work that he does.
We're getting into the weeds.
I know, but so we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
We'll say no more.
Absolutely. Well, and as a to the point of you guys having sort of a familial filmmaking group there, Haley is also a writer in her own sense. She wrote the story that film was based on a few years ago, Ghosted, that she did with Blaine Weaver. So all around film prize and filmmaking and creativity and all of it together. So you guys are a dynamic, creative family, and that's really wonderful to have as a part of our community, not just for Film Prize, but for Shreveport and Northwest Louisiana. So thank you for being so embracing of the arts. I know that you guys have all done acting in other places outside of Film Prize, stage work and television and that sort of thing. So lots there for people to talk about, which I do want to get into a little bit about the festival. Like, what is it that you hope that the audiences sort of take from this? And then how can they find you at the festival to share their thoughts about what they've seen?
They can find us we're going to be there all weekend.
Yeah.
And I have been looking forward to being a part of this for so long in this capacity. And it's just kind of a dream come true. But, what I hope people gain from this is that, elderly people have a wonderful relevance in life, more experience than any of us will ever have.
It's like they have all this experience and no place to put it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one story. Yeah.
And B, when somebody does something for you, you can't take all the credit for yourself. You got to share that, give it where it's due. And
like in Film Prize, no movie is made alone. I mean, you've got to have people to fund you, support you, supporting cast. You've got to have good people around you. And, it's about sharing that success with the people who help you along your way.
And we're the first to admit, we had this idea. We talked about it for months before we ever shot a frame. We knew exactly what we wanted going in, but without people like Alexander and Colby and Jeremy and Lisa, all of them who are so much more talented than we are in what they do. Man, it's just such a team effort, and we all had such a great time making this film.
That's fantastic. Well, of course, everybody who's watching out there, you'll have to go find Patrick and Susan. I'm sure they'll be hanging somewhere between the Robinson and the VIP room all weekend long. Uh,
For
but
sure.
of course, speaking of kind of the festival, at the end of the day, there is going to be one winner. And on Sunday, the 23rd, a name is going to be read aloud. And if it is the fate that, and the audience and judge choice, that credit is the name that is read aloud, directed by Susan and Patrick, what do you do? What do you spend the money on? And what do you do next?
We cry and we
Yeah.
scream. And we actually want to use that money to take our film around the country, maybe even around the world. I mean, we want to do as much as we can with it.
Yeah.
We've even talked about, and I'm going to tell you, this is one of those stories. After seeing what Taylor did with our trailer, I want to do a feature-length film. It makes me, it gets me so excited. She's so brilliant. And, so I mean, the possibilities are endless, but
Yeah.
the win for us is getting into Film Prize, being there, being part of the festival, being part of these incredible filmmakers putting together their films. And we've seen some amazing trailers. I think it's going to be a wonderful festival this year.
And just
That's
knowing
the
that,
win.
and just knowing that people are going to see our film is
Yeah.
so exciting. So
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of them down there. So those of you who are watching, if you have not purchased your tickets yet, you can do that at prizefest.com. Credit, along with the other 19 films, will be playing October the 20th through the 22nd. And of course, the winners will be crowned on October the 23rd. So be sure to get out there and get those tickets, go see those films, and vote for everybody. No, vote for credit, I suppose.
Vote for
oh, for credit, for crying out loud.
Right. And I will say that we do have one more piece of business to do before we leave, and I'm sure you know what it is.
Yes, we do.
We have to do our Viva La Film Prize right here at the
We're
end.
prepared.
Hey, I'm not prepared,
with
but
our credit
I'll
shot
bring my
glasses.
hydro flask to the game. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Viva la Film Prize!
Cheers. Stay hydrated, everybody. Good shooting tequila, and we'll see you at Prize Fest.